Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
You're checking out the Weekend at Gabe's with the real Weekend Gabe and Sam Crane. See what I did there?
Yeah, you did. That was nice.
Uh, don't forget to follow us on the socials, Weekend Gabe, Weekend at Gabe's, and the real Sam Crane. Joining us now, one of the most dopest artists. He's not new to the game, but he might be new to some of y'all ears. He has a phenomenal album titled Spaces that just dropped a couple weeks back. I definitely wanted to get him on because I think his record's amazing, but his story is just equally as amazing. It's a pleasure to introduce to the show, Ro Marsalis. How are you, sir?
Gang, gang. I'm good. How are you guys?
You're doing good, man.
He might have the album of the year, and he's also dad of the year. How do we can say that?
I can't. Not me. Oh, man. You ever think about some of the stuff you did with your kids, and it's like, nah, not me.
I say it all the time. Like Instagram could definitely make you look a lot better at parenting than you really are. Let me just say.
Yeah, no, it definitely can. Hey, social media in general, because I get to fix the lens and make people think like, yeah, man, I just, I'm do this all the time with my kids, and I wish I could, but I think that's where the drawback is for me. I work too much.
There you go. Right. No such thing. I want to start with a humorous story about your name, Ro Marsalis. You used to go by PlainRo, but then an incident or an episode of Martin kind of changed that around. Can you talk a little bit about how you arrived at Ro Marsalis?
So I arrived at Ro Marsalis just because the biggest reason why I changed from PlainRo over to Ro Marsalis was just the fact that PlainRo kind of embodied a lot of, I guess, angst and just adolescence. It was a name I went by through college and, any of the music circles I was in around then. Where at the time when I was considering rebranding or, I was in strong consideration for rebranding, it was just like, I've kind of grown out of that. And so I didn't want to put too much thought into it. That's a flaw of mine. Like, I don't like, when it comes to creativity, I feel like we have to think too hard. It's not going to be as fun. It's not as fun. So I just took Marsalis. I took it from, there's a scene in Martin. I forgot which episode what it's called, but basically, there's a scene where Martin is in a record label exec's office, who's a homeboy of his, and Martin is trying to shop a demo of a friend of his that could sing really good. And then comes in Tracy Morgan's character. He busts in through this executive's office door, and he tells the secretary, "Yeah, will you get security?" And so his name is Hustle Man. And so he's always dressed kind of like a bum with this really long trench coat on, trying to hustle something. So that's the premise of his character. And so he comes in, he busts through the door, and then he's got these stupid shades on, and he has a saxophone with a kazoo taped to the reed of the saxophone. And so he comes in the office, and Martin is looking at him. He's like, "Hustle Man, is it you?" And Hustle Man, very nonchalantly was like, "Nah, man, you got me confused with the next man. I'm Hustle Marsalis." And then proceeds on to try to audition for this record label exec live in his office. And I was just like, just me not thinking, being stupid, right? It's like, yeah, I like that. I'm Ro Marsalis. You must have me confused with the next man. I am Ro Marsalis. And so Ro is short for my full government name, which is Romel. Everybody calls me Ro. Please don't call me anything other than Ro. And so, like, I kept Ro, and then I just added Marsalis to the end. Unbeknownst to me, there's an entire family that's actually full of brilliant musicians that specialize in woodwind and brass instrumentation called the Marsalis family. I'm like, you idiot. But, I have no regrets. And, we're all black. Whatever, man. Let's we might be cousins, Let's just find common ground together.
I was doing a little research before the show on Wynton Marsalis, the trumpeter, and I was thinking to myself, like, maybe could they be related? I was really squinting hard at the picture, But yeah, you know, hey,
All
maybe
black folk don't
maybe
look
you're
alike.
another universe.
All skin folk ain't kin folk, as we say on this side, man. But no, no, I'm not gonna tell a story. Yeah, but no, so that it just kind of, and again, I didn't think, first of all, the rebrand took really well. Most people who listen to me now actually don't even know who PlainRo is. And it's cool the way it kind of worked out. So I kind of feel some validity in that, just with the way things have gone.
You
Got
touched on as you went through that story there at University of Illinois, right? Champaign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk about sort of your experience there, because you connected with a lot of your heavy collaborators today, sort of down there. You made that transition from PlainRo to Ro Marsalis. What about that journey sort of shaped you? How did that change the game for you?
Well, I had been making beats and whatever since I was 14. Um, and I want to say college is what kind of gave me my wings and showed me like, hey, no, like you're actually pretty good at this. And so what happened was, it's funny how I even ended up out there, because I actually went to Kishwaukee and then NIU out in DeKalb. And so I was dating somebody that went to U of I, and I went down there for a party like over the weekend. And I was like, oh crap, I'm definitely coming to this school. It's so much going on. It was like a complete difference, 180-degree difference from DeKalb. But anyway, so I ended up moving out there for the next semester and enrolling in school. And my ex was a part of this collective called Word, which is Writers Organizing Realistic Dialect. And so it's an RSO on campus. I believe like after a while it grew to be one of the largest RSO black RSOs on campus. But it was just really dope. It was a really dope just like melting pot full of creative talent. Not all of us sang, not all of us rap, not all of us did poetry. But it was just really cool. And that's where like I really got my wings. Like, we learned how to perform there. Like, we critique one another and we push one another. And so I give Word all of the credit in the world. It was founded by Abril Green and Kenny Thompson. So like, yeah, kudos to y'all. Love y'all if y'all watching. But they started it, and I mean it was just phenomenal. Everybody was a part of that. That went to U of I and did anything musically. So I happen to be alumnus. I don't know if that's the word, with like Mother Nature. Mother Nature both.
Classic.
Yeah.
We had them on the show a few months back. Yeah.
Yep. So we they were in there. Josie Green, BK, BK Saunders. I can go down a list of people that are actively doing music or in the music scene here in Chicago, and we all were like there together. Boogie Fool. Shoot, I'm just trying to. I know I'm gonna be miss some people, and I don't mean to. Audrey Valentine. Yeah, we were all in there. And then Asar Bradley, as y'all know, he came once I had left. And so Josie is kind of our link and how I met Asar. So I had left and moved home.
And a couple of those names appear on the album.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you've always had a knack for writing. You won poetry contests as a kid. Mm-hmm. And then you got into, like you mentioned, when you were 14, you got into producing music, and the College Dropout was the album for you. That was what sparked or ignited your music quest. What is it about that record that just made you think like, holy crap, I think I need to do this?
So at the time I was 14. And my dad was a pastor, right? I was a PK kid to a certain extent, but him and my mom got divorced, so I went and stayed with my mom. And so I'm a 14-year-old that doesn't have a really good relationship with my dad, really trying to figure out who I am. And so I'm getting in like a ton of trouble. Like I'm joining gangs, I'm selling drugs, I'm doing all types of stupid stuff. And Kanye for me was the reality that, first of all, that's not who I am. Second of all, I don't have to do all of that in order to, I guess transcend social norms. Like I can just be myself. And so
Right.
he was a real hero for me, a 14-year-old, seeing like, oh, I don't got to gang bang. I ain't got to be out here in these streets to really have something to say that's going to be of value musically. And then his project's called College Dropout. Like, and it's normal stuff. It's normal stuff that regular people deal with, and he really just broke that mold for me, and just, I mean, easily one of the most important influences for me to show me like, yeah, I can do this. I can do
Right.
this. I don't have to have some sort of, really, really messed up story to really. He just was a really
Sure.
figure for me, and him and Pharrell, but him more so because he's from Chicago, and I knew people that knew him, and it just was really cool to see him go from where he was to where he ended up being with by the time College Dropout came out.
Got it.
Absolutely. Going from there, because you've made this music stuff a full-time job for you now.
It is now, yes, sir.
Yeah, this is what you do. Was there a moment? Was there a record that went out where you were like, "Oh, I can do this"?
It wasn't even so much the record as much as it was the talent and the people that I came in the door with. Asar, Josie, those are not only ultra talented artists, but those are also really good friends of mine. But I want to say it's a combination of them and me meeting my wife. And my mom always pushed me and told me, "Baby, you could do this. You could go for it." She wanted me to go to school for computer engineering, but she always pushed this for me. Always bought me a little computer. It wasn't much, but man, that little compact I had with the bubble screen, man, I did what I could. But I would say I think it was the talent more so than, I guess, the song that kind of showed me and let me know, like, hey, I'm a professional, and my peers are now professionals as well. We all just kind of grew together to this point of, it not just being a hobby or
Right.
something cool that we're holding on to, a dream from a 14-year-old, but like we are a professional. Like I'm a professional engineer, I'm a professional music producer, and just kind of owning that. So I'd say that's really when I was able to take a look around and see like, what we all look like at a certain point. That's when it kind of clicked for me, like, hey, this is actually what we are, and we can actually do this. This is a real thing.
So not to backtrack, but quickly looking back at sort of, University of Illinois, did you have that feeling like sort of a kids these days feeling with your peers and you were like, okay, no, this is destined? Or was it like one day you woke up and it was like, oh, Mother Nature and Asar and Josie and everybody's just doing it. I may as well do it too.
I think my greatest goal in all of this is just to kind of be a vision implementer. I was really big on when I would meet people in college and stuff, because I used to set up, studios, home studios and stuff all around U of I for people, because, people didn't have at the time basic knowledge about interfaces and preamps and just the affordability of it all, and that you can just do this in a closet like I'm doing right now. you know, so I'll say, like, again, I don't think I knew, like, the end goal for me doing all of that wasn't so I can do this professionally and full time and I ain't got to have no job or nothing like that. It was really more so from a place of, I would ask everybody all the time, I still do, when I work with new people that I believe in, I can see the talent in them. What can I do to help you? You know what I mean? How can I help you get to that next level? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? And how can I play a part? Right. And so I think in my quest of just always keeping that at the forefront, it's allowed me to really just build really dope relationships with people. I've always believed in anybody I did in day one. Like, I always knew Clev and Truth had it. I always knew Asar had it. I always knew Josie had it. I always knew Audrey Valentine had it. And so, yeah, just to see where we are now, it's not surprising to me. I'm just a conduit guy, honestly. I think I don't put too much stock in like, yeah, I'm a front runner, anything like that. I'm more of a conduit guy. I'd rather be the guy that helps connect more people to help get the pieces of the puzzle put together than the person that's got to put the first and the last piece to it, you know?
So what about that? Like you becoming the guy who's, giving out assists, producing, kind of like helping other people see their vision. So now with Spaces, you're pulling your vision together. What was that moment that transpired that made you like focus on yourself and your own project? And like we already touched on, like there's some familiar faces and voices that appear on Spaces. But when was that time you're like, no, I need to get this project out of my system because there's some things that I need to discuss. You talk about a lot of mental health, relationships, but like what was going on prior to making the record that made you want to go into and dive into some of these social issues?
Well, Josie and Asar, no, and I can say this, that don't matter. I've been trying to make something for a while. Again, it's not my first hat. My first hat, as it relates to music, will and always will be me as a producer, and just as a co-creator.
Right.
To a degree, I've been a sidekick for both Josie and Asar at very pivotal moments, and I relish that role. I'm the background guy, right? I like stuff like that. But they would say all of the time, "Hey man, you need to do something. You should put this together. We should do X, Y, and Z." Them, my wife, so forth, so on. People who know me creatively. Excuse me. But I always say, if I don't have nothing to say, I'm not gonna say nothing. I would just rather be quiet and just continue doing what I'm doing, right? Because I'm egotistical enough to admit I don't want to put something out that I can't stand behind,
Sure.
and I don't want to just do it because I'm striking while the iron is hot. I don't really care about stuff like that. Like I know I'm solid with, those who matter, and I just kind of move that way. So for me, it was really just finally persevering and time meeting opportunity and, it all coming together. So this project Spaces actually went through 3 different iterations. Yeah,
And
three.
you quit twice. Like, while I heard in another interview that you quit twice along this road. Does that make this moment of release like way sweeter? Like,
No, because I mean, if I'm gonna tell you why. Again, man, I feel bad because I feel like I'm talking to people about this, and I love that it's affecting people positively. I love that everybody likes the project because I like the project, right? So I put it out. But I don't know if maybe I'm, my creative brain is like 5 steps ahead. So like, this is great, but like, I am kind of working on the next thing while trying to concurrently continue to push and put this together. And so I guess for me, it's just like, man, I really enjoyed. I'm glad it's over for sure. There's that relief there, but it wasn't relief as much as, okay, now what? And just as a workaholic, that now what is an everyday thought. It's okay, now what? Okay, that's done. Okay, let me work on this. Let me make another impossible list full of tasks to try to sift through.
But what about that? Because I know you talk about like being super humble, and you kind of feel like your presence is to help push others to reach their potential. But like, do you feel like there's an uncomfortableness of being in the forefront? Because like you said, like you prefer to sort of be in the back, help people like put things in place, help them find whatever it is they're missing. But are you uncomfortable with yourself being sort of in the forefront and being talked about or doing interviews like this?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
man.
It's like the second record on the joint.
It's the first song for full song. It's definitely uncomfortable. And I'm not somebody that shies away from uncomfortable moments.
Sure.
Being a tech director, there's a lot of those in broadcast situations where you kind of got to push the button and make some decisions in split seconds. So it wasn't an uncomfortability that I think kind of wards me off or is the thing that's least attractive to me about all of this. I think it's just, again, when I think about myself long term as, when I look at Kendrick and I look at, I guess all of the people that I kind of look up to that's kind of in my age bracket as it relates to music. I don't think I see myself in the same light. I really feel like I'm a producer like first.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like when I think about longevity, like I'm already 31. When I think about those types of things, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything like that, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm definitely going to keep creating, but that's just really the biggest thing. It's just like when I think about longevity, when I think long term, when I think about branding, I think about myself more on the other side of the spectrum. And I don't know. Like my brand is me being stupid. My brand is me being goofy and authentically myself. And that might not be the most attractive thing, for everybody.
Right.
So I don't, so naturally I don't put all my stock there. I put all my stock in, again, just, being a great collaborator and, helping other people's visions, come to life. So that's the really big thing for me.
The ultimate collaboration is marriage, right?
Mhm.
So I want to talk a little bit about sort of your wife's influence, and you've talked about it in other interviews, but how has she taught you those lessons that maybe you don't get in a business relation? Hey, there you go. There you go.
Say that again for me.
No, that collaboration between y'all obviously inspires you to create new music, to build new relationships. But what does she really mean? Like, what do people not see behind the scenes that she really helps the most with? I guess what was the difference before as opposed to now after?
I mean, nobody is realer and raw with me about me than my wife. And because she's my wife and because she's my other half, there are things that she's helped me work through just on my own, as far as confidence, as far as purpose, as far as, just me being able to look in the mirror and be happy with who I am.
Right.
That has completely contributed. Don't nobody hype me up more than my wife. Don't nobody make me feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. Yeah. Then Mike, nobody does that. And then on the flip side, don't nobody be on my butt like my wife. She will call me knowing I'm asleep. Babe, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Even today, she was just like, do you even know how the interview is gonna, she's that for me. She's the logical part because I'm so creative. I do slip off into, ultra creative brain, which is I'm so in the moment that I've lost track of everything else. And she's very, organized and very, okay, at this time we're going to do this. And then at that time. And so she's really just the right brain to my left. And again, she helped come up with the concept of this project. You guys are going to see with the visuals. She helped, do all of that as well. She did the visual for Distance, a single I put out in January that actually was supposed to be a part of this. That was supposed to be the first single. That was supposed to be the first single to Spaces. Did not work out that way because of me. But she's the one. Deadlines. Okay, let the paint dry. That's it. Leave it alone. That's all her. So when I tell people like you guys would not be getting this if it wasn't for her, I think she watched me for years. She's watched me for years, right? Start working on stuff for whatever reason, decide, and then give it all away. And she's like, no, you're not gonna keep doing this. You're not gonna keep doing this. And so she's been great. She's been more of a manager than anything, honestly, when I think about it. When I think about just what a manager does with talent, that's definitely my wife.
Can we talk a little bit about your spirituality? As Sam referenced in another interview, you kind of talked about like maybe 5-6 years ago, you reintroduced yourself into your spirituality. Your father is a pastor at a church. So how did you? I know that you went through a cycle of depression, and what was it that moment that brought you back into the fold of trying to find a a healing moment or a solace of to heal because of the space that you were in? No pun.
Um, hmm. I think the best way for me to tell this is to kind of give the skinny on the story. So in another interview, I talked about how, Josie kind of helped keep me alive for a period of time.
Right.
What I didn't talk about was what happened when he couldn't, and I just reached my wits end and me actually attempting to take myself out. It's a very interesting story. I wrote a death note on my phone and I just decided, hey, you know what? This is it. I put it on airplane mode and I was about to jump to my death over I think that's the 74 freeway out that way. And from the viaduct. And I'm on the other side and, I have this I still have never had anything like it. I had this spiritual encounter where I literally hear a voice that's not my own. There's no one there. It's just like, what are you doing up here? And in that split moment, I felt like I was exposed, like, what? And it kind of snapped me back into a place like, oh my gosh, I'm about to kill myself. So I climb over back over the viaduct, and I'm freaking out. I'm crying, I'm freaking out. And I turn my phone on, and my mom was calling me like nonstop. I hadn't really spoken to her at all. Like me and my mom during that time really didn't talk much at all. And she had just been calling me, and I picked up. She was just like, "What is going on? There's something wrong. I've been praying, and I just feel something in my spirit. Something is wrong." And so through my tears, I explained to her what happened, and she was just like, "You were why I was praying so hard. You are the reason why I was praying so hard." And so from there, I was not doing well while I was out there. I knew I wasn't mentally healthy, and my mom and my stepdad said, "You know what? You need to come home. You need to come home. Come back to Chicago. We'll help you rehab. We help you get it together." I was fighting them on it, and then I gave in, and they came that night, to come get me and all of my stuff. And so from there, God's spirituality has been there through that entire experience from that point. And there's just no denying it from me and my own personal testimony. And so from there, I was kind of open, I want to say, to, okay, well, what's more to this, because I'm not a religious person. I'm still not a religious person. I don't really get into religiosity. I don't really care for traditionalisms and things like that. It's kind of counter creativity, right? And so my creative brain doesn't really vibe with that. But my spirituality is based in a relationship with God. And it's based in a relationship. It's based in the knowledge of, if I'm created in the image and likeness of God, the need for relationship works the same way. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate it and over spiritualize it and everything. But really, it's just me. My spirituality is based solely in me having a relationship with, my Lord and Savior and my God. And I've had several instances throughout my life since then that affirm my relationship with God, affirm that the direction I decided to go by. And, I'm here. Seriously. I'm here because of all of that. So love you, Ma. Love you, Jesus. Thank y'all so much. I didn't get to tell that whole story. And I do think it's important because when we talk about testimony and we talk about spirituality and why people are the way they are, I just think it's important for people to know the whole scope, the whole lens, the unsexy parts. So just thought I'd share that. But it didn't. I actually retired while I was getting psychiatric treatment. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do this.
I'm out.
Yeah, I actually quit music.
Did you hear another voice that called you back at that point?
I think, whatever you are, you do all the time. And so, I've been homeless, man. And there was always an avenue or opportunity that would present itself for me to start making music again. And this was no different than any other situation when I decided to quit for whatever reason. And before I knew it, I could afford recording gear again. And my old manager, Marcus Brooks, reached out to me. He was just like, hey, man, I hear you're back in town. I would love for you to meet some people. And he introduced me to some people. And yeah, if I knew it, I was back into it. And then, Josie kicked in again. And we worked on his second project, I think. So I got the years mixed up, by the way, because this past weekend me and my wife just celebrated 6 years of marriage and 7 years of being together. So I said 2015, we were definitely married by the end. So we're talking 2014, I think, right? I think my math is right. Yeah. But
congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
And also thank you for sharing your story, because I don't think we've heard that on other platforms. So we appreciate you.
That was important. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you working on your mental space, man, because
that's where it all starts and ends, especially as a high functioning creative, man. Nobody's harder on us than we are on ourselves. And nobody overthinks more. It's all here. It's all here, So yeah, that I'm really big on that, really huge about that. And I gravitate to that as far as subject matter for most of anything I do.
Yeah.
No, I really, really I cannot thank you enough on air for what you just shared, because that was amazing. And it leads me sort of nicely into my next question. And I've asked this to guests before, and they're always like, what? So I'm going to try my best to explain it. So obviously we talk about mental spaces and having to sort of reorganize your mental space. I think of mental spaces sort of like the inside of a turtle shell. I don't know if you ever seen SpongeBob. It's one episode where SpongeBob goes into Gary's shell, and it's like a huge library and like all kinds of cool stuff. So I was just wondering, now that you're in a better place, what is inside of that mental space? What is inside of your turtle shell? What does it look like? Is it all leather? Is it all just like water and you just floating around in that thing? Is it space and you just zero gravity in that thing? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
A lot of clouds, a lot of colors. And yeah, that's I would say that's where I am right about now. And so, look, when you think about a really nice sunset, that's kind of where I am mentally right now. Where it's just like, where things could develop into storms, things could clear up, but one thing is for sure, nothing stays the same, and I'm at peace with that, right? I think sometimes we like to think of good mental spaces as fleeting. I don't look at it as that. I look at emotions as what they are. They're feelings, right? And so you got to let them go when the time passes, and just being, I don't know, I guess just willing and yielding to that is really where I find peace and just clarity. And so that's kind of where I am. I don't hold on to any feeling, emotion. I try not to get too high, too low about anything. And that has really helped me out a lot.
I love that answer, man. That's awesome.
Also, you do a lot of meditating, right? Is that I've read that?
I should be doing better meditation. Now, this is what I do. When I do pray, I do take the time to do the basics of meditation, right? Which is stillness, which is clearing your mind, which is, focusing on one thing. So by all accounts, I do meditate, but it's more so a part of prayer than I think just me just rolling out a mat somewhere and just, meditating for the sake of.
Got it.
Word. I got two more questions before we let you go here. It was one line, and it actually wasn't your line that stuck out to me on the album, so I apologize. It was a line by Maven on close to the last song on the record, I think. And he says he's learned the difference between indifference and disrespect. For you, what is the difference there?
The difference between indifference and disrespect is some people just don't know, right? And so I think sometimes in our own immaturity, you might go, oh, they don't rock with me, or they don't F with me, or whatever. But that's not it. It's, indifference is, to me, a very mature feeling to have. I'm very indifferent about a lot of people. And that all that really means is I don't know you. I don't know you enough to have an opinion, right?
Right.
So I think it's kind of immature to look at somebody and go, hey, he's fat, so I don't like him, right? That's where it becomes disrespect, right? That's where it becomes disrespect. So to me, I took that line as, you know, and again, I love his verse so much on that song that I didn't need to add anything else. I was just like, this is my brain. You know, literally, this is literally my brain when I know I'm overthinking it. And it was a perfect verse. And yeah, sometimes you can't tell the difference when you are thinking of your own insecurities, right? It's like, yo, do they rock with me? Snap, what if they don't like me? What if they think I'm trash? They better not think I'm trash. What if they think I'm trash? Why y'all got me messed up? Well, let me get out here and flex, showing what's good. You know, and it's all here. It's all up here, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that.
I want to ask you about Feature Form Studios. That's where it looks like you work out of. You guys offer a number of services for aspiring artists, podcasters, anyone who wants to get into a professional setting to enhance their product. Talk a little bit about what the mindset behind that is.
Man, it was another kind of God moment, I'd say, just because I had just quit my job. I had been
for you.
I had been a technical director or a technical manager. I was a technical manager before I became a technical director for a company for 7 years, right? And I gave them a month notice. I'm like, yeah. So I had a whole other gig lined up, and I was good to go. We're getting to that last week. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to jet. After my last day on the job, the next day, I believe it was the next day or the day after, the governor locked down the whole state.
Wow.
Because of COVID. Locked down the whole state. So that was the beginning of that. So now I'm like, I don't work here. I don't have a job. And then I didn't finish my paperwork and getting things ready on the next job. So I'm like, oh crap, what do I do? So I'm trying to check in on that one. They're like, yeah, nobody's allowed in the office. You know, everybody's trying to work remotely. I'm like, well, how can we finish this process? They're like, we gotta have that on hold until we're done. You know, until we get through this, till we work through this.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, crap. And so I had a little 401k. You know, I'm like, all right, but you know, I really just had to get on my hands and knees with my wife, and like, Lord, we needed something. We got to figure out something. And what God gave me was this idea of, you know, charge it to record. And what was weird is I started out of my house in my basement. So I built out my whole basement studio here at this house. And I just I started charging people a monthly rate to come in weekly and record. And so I started generating, you know, income that I could budget around and, you know, kind of, you know, do my books with. And then I was able to come up with my old job just to do audio for their online, because, you know, everything was shifting that way to be able to have an online presence. So they a really big client. And yeah, and from there, it just kind of continued to grow to a point where my wife is like, all right, enough. There's too many people in this house. And now here's what's crazy, because my studio is based out of this really big complex called Fort Knox Studios. I had put in and been on a waiting list like 6 months prior to this whole situation happened. And then a good friend of mine, Eric from REA Radio, he reached out to me. He was just like, hey, man, I've been looking into studio spaces. How would you feel about us getting one together? And so I was just like, sure, man, you know what you have in mind. So we ton different places. And then Fort Knox, he brings up Fort Knox. He's like, hey, they have this room available. And I was like, well, call them because I'm already on the wait list. And then it turns out I was at the top of the wait list by those 6 months. Wow. So I was at the very top. She said, I was actually going to call you because you're at the top of the wait list. And so once again, the way things just kind of came together, I mean, it was great. Before I knew it, I was building sound panels, and, you know, we had our own space.
Wow. Incredible.
Awesome.
Incredible. All right. Yeah. I got one last question here on my end. And it's going to be a little weird again, because that's my vibe. Okay. So Jeff Bezos come to Ro and he's like, yo, I got this rocket, we're going to space. I'm not coming though. You and your wife are booked on the flight. You got 3 more people to bring with you to space for I don't know how long Jeff Bezos was in space, but let's say you go to space for a cool 24 hours. You can do whatever you want up there for 24 hours. Who you bringing with you?
My 14-year-old daughter, my brother, Andre, and my little sister. No, actually, I can't pick just one of my little sisters, man. That's not fair. It's not fair. They're like, yeah, you always did that. I'm not even gonna say little sister. Instead, I'm gonna say who's another adult. My other brother Ryan.
Word.
That's what I bring. Yep. So mostly family. Pretty much all family.
I'm gonna ask Asar when we get him on the show why you didn't pick him, and
when you see when he talks about how big his family is, you understand. Like we both come from some families, man. So he ain't gonna say me either. He wouldn't say me either. I'm low on that list, man. I'm definitely low.
All right, but before we let you go, one last silly question. I understand that artists, when they were coming to your house, you also let them stay there. You fed them. If Sam and I decided to trap out your basement, what kind of food could we expect from Ro and family to deliver?
Delicious vegan meals that you don't know are vegan until we tell you.
That's cool.
Between me and Mike, we've been killing it, man. Just we've been slipping it into my daughter. She don't even know half the time. Like, these are vegan kosher meals. She has no idea. But that's what we're into, man. That's really what we're into. I'm trying to lose this weight. Underneath this beard, see, I don't have a big beard. I have a big face, and so the beard just helps it not look so big. But trying to lose weight. But yeah, man, delicious vegan foods, man. Also, I eat raw during the day, so if you guys are into just eating broccoli by itself and carrots and snap peas and I didn't think
Dave's
so.
like, no. I'll feel you on some snap peas, but I have a traumatic experience from when I was a kid and I bit into a raw broccoli and it was like the worst thing. I was like, broccoli's good. I can just have that. And I just bit into it and I was like, this is not.
It's really dry.
Making.
It's dry as hell.
I always with my cucumber because broccoli is so dry, it's so stinking dry. Your cucumber kind of helps it go down. But yeah, man. Usually I eat raw and then we have some savory, something cooked for dinner.
All right. Well, you're a lot stronger than probably Sam and I together. So good for you,
man.
Good
I'm
luck
trying to hang in there.
Hey, man, it's important when you got kids. It's always important.
I'm trying to be here.
Yeah.
Now I feel like super bad.
Hey, by the way, man, kudos to you guys, man, for doing your research, man. I know I played that off, but that's really dope. That's really dope that you guys look. Don't PlainRo. He's gone.
He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy is I think I when I saw that in the other interview, I was like, no, I think I have a song in my music library that's like produced by PlainRo. Like, I think I've been following. I've known of you for that long. And the first interview I ever did on the show was with D2X and the Adult Swim record, which you were also on, and that's actually my favorite record on the whole joint. So we appreciate you taking the time to come out, and we hope you are here for a very long time so that you can come on again.
Yes, sir.
It's amazing, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it. Ro Marsalis joining us here. Spaces is the new record out there. Go put it into your live, download it, run those numbers up, and find your way into his basement. You might get a vegan sandwich out of it.
Ain't nothing down there, but I actually just cleaned it today, so no, it's kind of spick and span. Don't come to my basement. Don't let me enjoy my basement. I'm trying to cut some 2K on.
Sounds good. Well, we appreciate you giving us your time so much. Thank you for coming by.
No problem. See you guys later.
All right, Ro Marsalis joining us here on Weekend at Gabe.
Incredible.
Man, love it. I absolutely I could talk to him for another hour, I bet.
Yeah, no, we could have gone for 3 days, talking about everything, man. But, incredible story, an even more incredible person. And, on top of all of this stuff, man, the guy's got chops. He has produced your favorite artist. Name your favorite underground artist. If they haven't worked with Ro Marsalis, I'm going to let you know right now, they probably ain't working. And that's what it is.
It kind of feels almost like the abstract mind state type thing with like Kanye. They were like, it's your time. Like, we're going to get your thing done. And it kind of felt like everyone was moving to make sure his project got done so that he wasn't focusing on everyone else's. And I thought that was really cool that he was able to pull from everyone in his circle to get his vision completed. And it's I know you hate this word, but it's really phenomenal. The album is phenomenal. I think that's an appropriate word to use to describe Spaces, because
it is.
It's 25 minutes, but it's like the best 25 minutes of 2021. Yeah. It's so well put together and well produced. All the records are finally done. Man, just tip my hat to Ro, man, and his production, genius, and his talent and skill level. It really is on full display on Spaces. So I highly encourage anyone who hasn't heard yet to go put that into your life and do yourself a favor.
Yep.
All right, we got a big show coming up on Thursday, our last show before we hit a break. Are you ready for break already?
Oh my God, I have one foot in the state of Florida already, and that foot has COVID-19, baby. That's what I'm talking about. So yes, I'm super ready to take a break. I love the week of shows that we have up. I believe it's Rita J and Neek coming on in the first slot on Thursday night, and then we have Thursday Thunny's returns with Kells the Comic. And it's going to be an incredible show, man. And you know what? It's a well-earned break, Gabe. Well-earned break.
Listen, it's birthday week. It's my first week back from the Rona, from being on the bench for 2 weeks. It's going to be great.
Chicago. Red alert, Chicago. Gabe is outside. Weekend Gabe is outside this week.
Listen, I am looking forward to every because my wife's birthday is Friday, so we normally go out the weekend. So we'll decide whether or not they're comfortable with me being outside. I'm fine with it. I'm going back to work on Friday, but we always go to Fogo de Chao, and I'm off Monday, and I definitely want to go for lunch because it's cheaper and you get the same experience for like $200 less than going in at the night. So I'm looking forward to a Fogo de Chao lunch and whatever else happens. It's
and you know what, Gabe? You've earned it, man. 75 episodes deep. All the credit goes to you. This is Weekend at Gabe's, man. It's not Weekend at Sam's. It's not Weekend at Rose. And not Weekend at Rose's basement. That's for sure. Weekend at Gabe's. And if my man wants to go to Fogo de Chao, he's going to do that. So watch out, America. Weekend Gabe is back outside.
Have you seen me in these streets? Ro probably listening now. He's like, man, there ain't no raw vegetables at Fogo. And you're damn right, there sure isn't.
Not a single raw vegetable at Fogo de Chao. And that's why you love it, man. I love it too. I'm not going to lie to you. I love it too. I'm
going to do my best to stick around, but just not on Monday. All right. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. Appreciate it. We'll meet back here on Thursday, right here on Weekend at Gabe's. Also, don't forget to share, support, and show love. It's the 3 things that you need in life. And also, give us a follow on these socials at Weekend Gabe, Weekend at Gabe's, and The Real Sam Crane. By doing all 3, your life expectancy, as we talked on the show already, will increase tremendously. No percentage added. Because why, Sam?
Because if you also eat raw vegetables on top of all of that, like we've just discussed, it will increase your life expectancy, because that is just science, America. It's just science.
We follow the science on this show, unlike Nicki Minaj, but so follow us at Weekend Gabe and Weekend at Gabe's.
That was a low blow, Gabe. That was a low blow.
Is it though? Is it? All right, everyone, we're out. Where was the music, Sam? Where was the juke music?
Right here. It's right here. You're not hearing my juke music?
Oh, there it is. All right, cool.
Yeah, you know what it is. We're getting out of here. Oh, yeah. I got to go edit some videos.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head, and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.